Hey, my name is Todd Coe. I am Director of Portfolio Management for Envision Healthcare. I currently oversee three of our largest service lines there: Radiology, Women's and Children's, and our EMG corporate space. Glad to be here.
Todd, thanks so much for making time to join us on the Ivy podcast. It's been a long time. I can't wait to dive into the story, the background for our listeners to get to know you and our history together. There's a lot to unpack. But before we do that, and before we talk about all the great things you're building at Envision Healthcare, give us a thumbnail version of your career prior to that.
Yeah, John, thanks. First of all, thanks so much for having me. It's always fun to get together with you and chop it up a bit. So certainly glad to be here. As I talk a little bit about, what emergent intelligence is and what mental health care is in the working environment, you have to know just a bit about me and about my past. I was born addicted to heroin. 6 weeks old, I was left for dead in government housing for 3 days until I was found by the police, brought back to foster care for 4 years. At age 4, I was adopted. And let's just say that during that tenure, I was beaten and abused every way you can possibly imagine as a person and run down until the streets of Atlanta were the only relief I found. So 6 years coming up on the streets of Atlanta, just living a very hopeless, angry life. Stumbled upon a cardiologist here, chief of cardiology of Grady, Dr. Alan Dollar and his family, through a weird set of circumstances, found me and brought me into their house and essentially adopted me as their own child. Really set me on my journey for mental health, mental awareness, as well as just being an emotionally intelligent person. How you want to ask any more questions? I mean, is that
Oh, that's great. That's great, Todd. And that's very deep. And I really appreciate you kind of sharing a little bit more of a personal story. I want to talk a little bit more about some of those, experiences and how that really shaped also your leadership style and some of the things that you implement to this day at workplace. So would love to unpack a little bit there. Tell us a little bit more about your professional career as well. Where have you started? What are some of the, interesting experiences and encounters that you had gone through?
Yeah, during my career, I've spent over 15 years in consulting, management consulting, as well as IT consulting in the healthcare information technology space. Had the opportunity to work for several very prestigious organizations: MD Anderson, Hoag out west, Cancer Treatment Centers of America, who's now merged with City of Hope, the whole Presby organization in New York, et cetera, et cetera. Typically during those consulting engagements, I was either working in a function of senior leadership, project oversight, program oversight, leading large multi-million dollar transitions from EMRs or other technology solutions. Even done some vice president work in the management consulting space regarding provider maintenance, provider workflow analysis, things of that nature, and then have led my fair share of system selection projects working for Leidos Health prior to joining Envision. Coming to Envision and John, essentially working with you and getting that opportunity was really my first time off the road in my whole career. It was a huge paradigm shift for me to actually go from a consulting mindset to what an FTE mindset is. Because in the consulting world, everything I did was very episodic, right? Though I would come in and sell myself to the client, it was episodic. I never really got to live through the outcomes. Making that change and becoming an FTE and then management director here at Envision Healthcare, I had to learn. I had to step back and take a look at what is emotional intelligence. How does that affect my leadership style? Now that I'm no longer a consultant, and now that I'm going to be here to actually see the outcomes of process, I'm going to see what culture's impact on productivity actually is, because I'm going to invest in the culture. And making that paradigm shift was bridged nicely by working for you for a couple of years and being able to really sit back and just kind of watch how you always set up your team for success, how it was always team first. There's a book out there that says good leaders eat last, but there's more to that. It's actually, if good leaders eat last, they're willing to starve so that their team can eat first. And really accepting that as my mindset in leadership and my approach with my team, and just being very transparent. First and foremost, being here, I just want to destigmatize what mental health looks like in the workplace, that you can still be effective, efficient, caring leaders and still have some struggles on the other side that just need to be dealt with in a professional setting. And so first and foremost, I want to destigmatize that, because certainly I've had my own journeys in mental health care that have certainly helped me overcome some of the trauma and tragedy I experienced in the past, while at the same time teaching me effective ways to connect with people and to really empathize and to see different perspectives, and allowing myself to do that in a working space, in a leadership role. That's what we're doing at Envision. And John, I have to say, I mean, the culture there has completely done a 180 over the past couple of years, with Megan Barney coming in as the new CIO, very powerful woman, just has a lot of tact and grace, and is really establishing a push down culture there that you can see, that's palatable, it's tangible. And I'm super excited to be a part of it, because first and foremost, they're really taking a comprehensive look of what does emotional leadership look like, right? Emotionally intelligent people that are becoming leaders. What does that look like? And then a culture of advocation, advocating for your teams, advocating for one another, and truly just allowing us to really grasp it.
That's great. That's great. And there's a lot to unpack, Todd, and I appreciate you sharing some of those insights. And I know firsthand, as you mentioned, that you and I got an opportunity to collaborate and actually work together in the same department for quite, for a decent amount of time at a very turbulent times of an organization when there's going to be a lot of change. There was a lot of, three organizations, essentially, three conglomerates who, decided to merge together. So anytime, initiatives like this are underway, there's a lot of change, and it takes a special personality to be able to not only adapt, but to thrive in that environment. And I know firsthand how you've been able to come in and prove yourself from the very first day, and just make a name for yourself as that leader within the organization, being able to take on any type of initiative of complexity and build relationship and rapport with of any type of personality within the organization, which as we had all kinds of personalities there. So as we entered pandemic, and the workforce setup, everything just basically shifted, and now coming out of this period with being fully remote, and now trying to structure your teams in some type of a hybrid setup, or even coming into the offices, it's a lot of change. It's a lot of unpredictable environments, and a lot of anxiety, myself included, that it's not an easy setup to thrive in. Share maybe some of your strategies, some of your insights that really helped you to set your teams up for success, not only setting up yourself, as you've mentioned, your servant leader, you really do everything to help your teams first. But how did you go through that period? How are you adjusting right now? What's really working for you to help your teams thrive in those very unpredictable environments?
That's a great question. And it's not just Envision that struggled with this, as you mentioned. I mean, you have Fortune 500 companies out there that are just at a hybrid workforce. And to be real honest with you, connecting with employees was hard enough to do in a 3D world. And now you're in a two-dimensional world and managing a team of heads that are on a screen. And so first and foremost, it's all about connection. You have to find ways to connect with people beyond just status updates and project plans. You have to be able to move into that next realm, within that personal environment, and really connect with people at their core. You have to have perspective. You have to learn, okay, now that the working paradigm has shifted to the dinner table is an office. It's where the kids do homework, and later it'll be where I serve my family. So those lines have been extremely blurred. And so it's being very, taking time to step back and look at somebody else's perspective. How do my employees feel right now? What position are they in? Do they have kids? What are the stressors on the outside looking in? And then the last part, John, is connection, perspective, and then empathy. Having an extra dose of empathy when dealing with people. being able to say, you know what, I'm here for you as a person. Professionally, I'm certainly going to do everything I can do for you to succeed. Personally, I'm here for you to use as much as you like or as little as you like, because you have to remember connection at some level is very organic. So though you may stack the cards in your favor to drive connection with your teams, it's going to take time, it's going to take consistency, and it's going to take a certain level of trust. So I've baked it down to those 3 points. Connect at the level people are comfortable with, take a step back and look at things from their perspective, and at all times make sure I have empathy for them in their current situation. And this is a very important part. Emotional intelligence is the most important part about mental health. We all know mentally healthy people are far more productive than those that are not. So wouldn't it behoove us now to start taking a look at mental health and how that looks, not only from an employee standpoint, but from an organizational standpoint, from our HR makeup, from the classes that we provide, from the options that we provide for treating those conditions, and then removing the stigmatism of mental, because mentally healthy people are going to make money. They're going to do the job. They're going to
Right.
do it well. And so I'm passionate about that. And I have to say, just there's been a few people, even here at Envision, at least recently. My new vice president, very strong, very powerful, proud member of the LGBTQ community. And I have to say, I mean, from early onset with her, we used these teams, we connected with one another at a level beyond work. I saw her advocate for me on several occasions. And we'll cut that part out. I didn't like it. But I think I've talked enough about the other part.
Okay, yeah, we'll cut that last part out. Okay, no, that's great, and I appreciate you sharing, Todd, about some of those strategies that really help you navigate your teams in a lot of times of unpredictability. Um, be, and also a lot of that really ties to your experience and the skills that you have developed throughout all of these engagements to be able to select the right people and build a team of A+ players all around you. As an executive within your organization, surrounding yourself with top talent is probably a 24/7 type of job, whether you actively recruiting or not. I know that firsthand. So tell us a little bit more about your strategies that really help you select the best, and what are some of the maybe questions that you love to ask during the interview process that really help you uncover some of those skills or maybe weaknesses in those potential candidates?
Well, first of all, when building a team, you have to build it based on culture, right? What cultural framework do you have there? I mean, we can always audit people's, technical capabilities. They're going to have the correct certificates. They're going to be able to prove that they've actually done the work before. But I like to confirm that first, right? And then the most important thing to me is the culture. How does this person act to stress? How does this person react to multiple assignments being pulled in different directions? How is this person going to react to perhaps a quick request for a big deliverable in a short period of time? How is this person going to react in light of social stressors that are ongoing? And then always being able to, ground that back to what are our cultural points, not only at Envision, but within my own team itself. And what are our driving factors? And first and foremost, it's that we serve people. My team is a servant-based team. We serve the people that we work with and work for, first and foremost, and ensuring that they're going to be comfortable in that kind of a culture of accountability. Absolutely despise micromanagement from any point. So just understanding that I'm going to be able to trust this person to go do a job, and then obviously use me as needed. But as you always used to tell me, just execute, man. Just execute.
That's great. Those, interview is not an easy process, and it's something that I still learn. It's an ongoing learning journey to be able to kind of to build that muscle as you select, as you interview, as you restaurate, especially listening skills to be able to really uncover and pay attention to a lot of the things that have been shared with you. Because as I've noticed throughout my career, interview is very subjective, and at the same time, it's also not a lot of opportunity for the candidate to ask their questions and make their assessment if I'm the type of leader that they would thrive under, or is this the right environment for them to, to really be successful. So I love everything that you've talked about. Tell us a little bit more about the strategies that really help you retain the top talent, because we know in this highly competitive market, it's very extremely challenging with so much opportunity out there. Now on a global scale, with everyone being able to operate remotely and in virtual environments. Tell us, what are some of the strategies that really helped you to retain the top talent? As I remember when you and I were in the same department, in the same team, that's all we used to talk about this a lot. Where here's our rock stars. What are some of the things that we can do to really retain them and keep them engaged?
Well, I have to tell you, if they made it through that interview process, right, where the cultural questions are first and foremost, second to your capabilities, which certainly have already been taken care of, it's all about that connection aspect, right? So first of all, I have good connections with each one of my teams on varying levels, whatever is comfortable for them. First and foremost, advocate. I advocate for those teams all the time. Never waste an opportunity to say thank you. Never waste an opportunity to compliment somebody on your team. Ensure that they're challenged in their project work, but not overloaded. Make sure you understand that them and their family is a priority to me, not just them. So it's going to be family first. And so, with that and being able to advocate for teams, I've been able to move most of my team up the ladder a few notches, even in some of the perilous times of COVID. Get a few of my team members promoted. And that's because of their fantastic work, but also in nonstop advocacy for them. And people see that, John, right? They see that loyalty.
Yeah.
And we understand that in this day and age, the 30 years in a gold watch are probably long gone. But you know what? For the time that I have them, I'm going to treat them right. They're going to see me advocate for them. They're going to see me put them before myself. And people tend to stay in that type of an environment. I've only had one resource turnover, John, in 5 years, and it just happened last month.
Yeah, I do believe that. I do believe that firsthand, because I've seen how you operate. I've seen how you treat, your team members. It's never the hierarchical approach to things, and it's it speaks for itself for the progress that you've made within the organization. That's also your loyalty to be able to grow within a single organization, look for opportunities within. I think that speaks a lot about your character. In closing segments of every podcast, though, I love to talk about kind of your personal strategies for learning, for self-improvement, and things like that. Share some of the resources that you consume on a daily basis that really help you stay ahead of the curve, to keep yourself educated, informed, but at the same time, maybe some of the selection strategies to keep your, with so much information overload out there. What are some of the things that really help you stay connected, stay innovative from a personal standpoint?
Yeah, first and foremost, always being willing to learn and ask questions. Making sure that you're humble in how you carry yourself and how you present yourself. The things that help me learn, John, are probably more visual and just watching successful people and then reading about what makes successful people successful, right? You can almost bake it down to a formula, around success. So I find people like you that are Ivy educated. I would be remiss if I did not learn from you and take an opportunity during those 2 years that I worked with you, to see what's important to John. How does he organize information? Watching my current vice president now, Elise Polanski, navigate, a huge portfolio of work and a large team. And how does she handle the stress? How does she handle, organization? So a lot of watching, and then obviously I do my fair share of reading. So I enjoy reading self-help books. I think you can always be challenged. You can always have a different perspective. If you allow yourself, to be completely neutral and take away your personality, and you take away all your religious convictions or just general convictions together and look at somebody's position from their footsteps, it's really powerful, and it'll change the way you operate, and it'll change the way you see people. But yeah, those reading and then just a lot of people watching, successful people watching.
That's great. Those are exceptional strategies. Thank you for sharing that. And Todd, last but not least, I realize it's a loaded question, but maybe think through some of the experiences as you were starting in your professional career. What is one piece of advice, or maybe series of advice, that you had received early on in your career that you continuously refer to even these days?
I love it. Reese Gomez, one of my early mentors in this business, uh, pulled me aside once and said, Todd, you have all the natural talent in the world, but God gave you 2 ears and one mouth. Shut up and listen. That really set me on a different direction. And then another one that he used to say all the time is never, ever, ever be the smartest person on your team or in the room. So he taught me how to surround myself with very capable people. And what do capable people look like, and what are the skills and traits that I'm looking for? So just listening more than I talk changed probably my career paths as well as the opportunity. So I'm glad to learn that. And hey, I still struggle with it even today. So it's an ongoing evolution there. And then also learning to listen with your eyes and your ears was another one that came from Reese as a mentor. And what that really meant to me is that you can really sense a situation, not only if you're listening with your ears and sensing it, but with your eyes. You'll be able to tell a lot more about a person if you don't talk and you just listen. I might want to frame up that last part a little bit better.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that, Todd. It's definitely powerful words. I can't thank you enough for your time today. Very short and insightful conversation. I personally learned quite a bit. What I love doing with all the guests on the podcast episodes is do a follow-up recording in about a year where we revisit everything we've talked about and see if everything still makes sense, still applies. So I'm definitely looking forward to doing that with you as well.
All right. Thank you, John.